Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Slater Success Live. I am so excited. For some of you, this is a first and a treat. For some of you, this is an expansion of an opportunity. Jessica Robinson, who's the CEO of PurePoint International, was a guest on my podcast, Her Success Story. Jessica is smart, dynamic. She's truly a brilliant woman. She started PurePoint to make a difference in the world, around cybersecurity. She uses a unique approach, and I know everybody says you're unique. So here's your opportunity. You get to ask Jessica what makes her unique. Come and join me with questions, comments. Feel free to put it in the chat for those of you who are live, for those of you who are watching this on replay, and Jessica and I will continue. We're both avid LinkedIn people. We will continue to be touching base on the stream and joining in. But I'm excited to chat with Jessica further today. So thank you for taking time out of, I know your busy day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you. So it's exciting to chat with you again.
So let's a couple of ground strokes, why cybersecurity? Why you? Where did this become your field? It is I'll say it's a newer field. Hey, Mick, welcome. I love Mick is coming in, right? What makes you unique? Hang tight and stay tuned because I'm just going to get a little background and then you're going to ask Jessica that question. Yeah. So a little bit, first question is, as our listeners are chiming in, what drove you to cybersecurity? What drove you to get involved in this area?
Yeah. Well, what I'll start just by saying is that when I was a kid, I was really interested in security. I knew that security was for me, that no matter what, this was the work I'd be doing in the world. The question was, how would I be doing this? Would I be working in government, or would I be working in maybe some other area? It was also at a younger age where I started to get excited about technology. So I was, and as a product of the 80s, I saw Matthew Broderick in War Games, like a lot of my peers, and said, oh, that's pretty awesome. I want to be able to. So I'm not alone there. And in the 7th grade, I read all of the Nancy Drew books in that year that we had in our library, and I just kind of fell in love with this woman that was a young woman that was going around solving problems for people. And so in my head, I was just kind of putting all of this together, and I was excited about the opportunity of bringing technology into this vision that I had about security, and also really making an impact in solving problems for people. And so I fast forward, my gosh, maybe 20 years later, I was working in the private sector, and I continued to think about these passions that I had of wanting to bridge technology. At that time, I also, through my collegiate studies, had a background in international affairs. And I was also just really focused on how do I really make meaningful impact in my work, particularly in working with women and vulnerable populations. And I was looking and thinking about the different ways that I could do this. And though there had been threads throughout my collegiate experience of bridging technology, and also when I was younger, my parents were amazing and getting me exposed to engineering camps at the time, which were very different than the tech camps that exist today. But nonetheless, I had the pleasure and honor of going to engineering camp at Purdue University, which was wonderful. And
wow.
And it was just an exciting time at that age. And then, like a lot of us, when we reach that time where we're actually working and we're an adult, and all of these passions start to come back, and how do we really merge? And that's eventually what I started to do. I started to think about, how do I bring this together? And I had a dream. It's really kind of as simple as that. That this was the work that I was meant to do in the world, that it is a calling, and then bridging all of this together. And so in the end, I thought maybe to have the job that I really wanted, I had to create it, right? It was this.
So I want to jump in here for a second, because it's so easy, cybersecurity, the whole industry in the technology zone is really expanding rapidly on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I will say, for a woman who started 2 different companies, and then some, over 25 plus years, it's a lot easier to have a day job than to start a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what drove you to take that step to actually start PurePoint?
Well, it was this dream that I had that I just thought now is the time, and I from there I literally from the time that happened, 6 months later, the company was created, and it was really about doing this work and creating the role that I wanted to have, but I also knew that I would have to create the company that I wanted to work for. And so it was about how do we think about bringing this more feminine approach to security? How do we think about this in terms of what I call conscious security, and something that is more of a feminine approach versus maybe a militaristic or a male focused approach, where we really did focus on how do we think differently and strategically about security overall. And I find that with this approach that a lot of people that bring us into their businesses are women decision makers at the C level, or someone who knows a woman at the C level and is introducing us to them.
So, I threw in the word unique, and Mick picked right up on it. Tara also says, hi, Jessica and Ivy.
Hello.
It came to ask this because we did this great series on her success story with women leaders in cyber, which there can never be enough of women leaders in these up and coming areas, in areas of technology that women were not the forerunners for so many years. Yeah. But interestingly enough, I had a conversation with somebody just the other day, and it came down to what made me unique in my work. And that brought it top of mind. And, I said, there's a lot of business coaches and consultants out there. I come from 20 some odd years of building a business, running a business, troubleshooting. I said, but more than that, I also did that while I was a working mom. And it was bittersweet because it was just right after my daughter got married that I was asked this question and I said, well, I look at the whole approach, and we delved into a little bit of that, which we're not going to get in today. Jessica, when you look at you as a leader, what are some of the areas that you find you're unique in an industry that is so vastly expanding?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say, with your background, it's, amazing to hear you just talk about that piece about what, beginning to start that piece out about what makes you unique. And so, and I would definitely be interested in learning more.
Well, you can interview me one day.
So, but yes.
We've been meaning to have coffee. Now we're going to escalate it. Everybody on LinkedIn, your job, Andrea and Mick and Tara and a bunch of others who are watching are going to be following up in the stream saying, so when are you girls having coffee?
Yes. And I'll say, what makes us different is that with this different approach, we have our values that really lead us in how we work with our clients. We also have established our own frameworks for how we go about the work that we do. So we have our consciously secure leadership framework. We have our consciously secure business framework that also is inclusive of our way of approaching security. And the other thing I would say is that our values really lead us. And one of our biggest and our strongest values is love. That at the end of the day, how we're working with our clients and how we're supporting them at the end of the day does come back with that. I think part of the challenge with security is that there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of challenge around cybersecurity and people understanding it or wanting to acknowledge the fact that it's a reality in their business that they have to address because it's something that they're fearful about and they don't want to talk about. But if we really think about, how are we really approaching, how are we really loving our clients? Are we focused on love for our teams? Are we focused on love for our data and our systems? And are we focused on love for ourselves enough that we're willing to do everything that we need to do within the business to address it? And also that we have the right team and the right partners to help us address these specific needs in the business, so that when something does go wrong, we're not, we don't have a strategy in place and we don't have people around us that can help.
I have to tell you, out of all the interviews I've done over the many, many years I've been doing this, you're the very, very first person who said you come from a place of love. Yeah. And that is really strong. It's really powerful. Andrea is just popping in and saying such a refreshing approach to starting your business. I'm going to say I actually just listeners and viewers who are just joining in, I said, Jessica, I was so late just jumping on at the last minute and, reconnecting because I just came from a leadership team meeting from a client. And we talked about the importance of truly liking the people you do business with, truly identifying and having a qualifier that if you don't feel that you can actually sit down with a potential client and kind of share a cookie and a cup of tea kind of thing, right? Not that formal thing, not that business lunch, not that cocktail meeting or anything else, but kind of that cookie and cup of tea that you really can just sit down and be with them. Do you actually really want them as clients? And it's touching my heart so to hear you say that one of your qualifiers, one of your values in evaluation is coming from a place of love. And you're right on uniqueness. Mick, she's got it. I've never heard it before.
Yeah, I think maybe part of this approach is, again, that we're centering, within our work, we center women leaders and vulnerable populations. And a lot of times, yes, we are working with leaders that are in the business world. And innovative leaders in the business world. And, they may be dealing with very stressful situations, but we also work with leaders who are elected politicians. We work with movement leaders. We work with people that are in extremely vulnerable populations or situations where for them, it is maybe one of the most stressful experiences that they've ever had in their work experience. And so to be able to support them in a way where we can truly meet them where they are is really what we're about. And some of these situations can impact their financial livelihood, how they provide for their family, and obviously impact their career. So we really want to be able to create this space where people can feel vulnerable enough to be and bring their full selves with us as we support them through one of the most challenging experiences that they may be having. So in that moment.
And viewers, I want to invite you, if anybody else has further comments and especially questions, opportunities to ask Jessica anything that I know. I have a laundry list, so if you guys don't have anything. So when you're talking about vulnerable communities, vulnerable populations, vulnerable situations, I draw a mental picture, right, of what I perceive that you mean. But I know I might not be right.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you talk about vulnerable communities and populations and people? Because that will give our viewers truly oh, I didn't realize how vulnerable I was, or I didn't realize to be aware of this and to reach out or connect you with somebody.
Yeah. So it could be a number of different things. It could be someone who, let's say, just created a documentary that's going to be controversial. And this person's really excited about it, but they know that they will receive threats because of it. And so they also know that people within their film are going to receive threats. So they're concerned about how they can best put a security plan in place in order to prepare for this.
I've never thought of that. I'm so glad we asked.
Yeah.
Keep going. This is
so it could be a nonprofit leader who just simply because of their work in the world, the issues that they're focused on, invites threats. So whether it's threats online, whether it's actual physical threats that come to them, whatever that happens to be, but because of their work, they need a different approach to safety just to live their life. Same thing with elected officials. Just because they're in the space of being an elected position, that alone just invites certain threats for them and their family. And so they have to think about, how do I keep my family safe? And so, and these are all extremely challenging situations to be in, particularly in these roles if people happen to be people of color or part of the LGBTQI plus community or another community that is less representative. And so, and our work is really, and this is one of the core reasons why PurePoint was started, was to be able to be that safe space for vulnerable populations as they're doing whatever their work is in the world, that they know they could always have a place to come to. And so, and that's really what we've been doing in addition to serving clients and helping them meet regulatory needs or ISO compliance or whatever these really important things that are important in their business. But we also support organizations that have already gone to another security company who haven't been able to help them, or another IT company, or even law enforcement. And this is really part of, to me, what it really means to create a consciously secure life, and also to be a consciously secure leader.
It's interesting because the examples you're sharing, and I'm so glad we're uncovering this, it's not situations I would think of. And, you know, as the average small business, and Tara's asking here, you know, what are some of the common issues small businesses should be aware of and small businesses should be educated on in the cybersecurity area?
Yeah. You know, for small businesses, it's changing so much, just really the past couple of years alone. It's really shifted from thinking about how can you think about, securing your data, making sure that your team is aware as you're onboarding your team, that they understand their role in cybersecurity. And all of that is extremely important. But one of the biggest things I've seen is the shift in understanding the risk that you as a small business have along the supply chain. And so it's possible that your ideal clients are asking you to fill out a vendor risk questionnaire just to be able to work with them, because that's what they're being required to do. And so I've seen a lot of 3-person companies. I've seen solopreneurs. I've seen 6-person companies needing to fill out these extensive questionnaires. And so, and I don't see this stopping. I see this just as something that's really just part of what it means to have a business in today's world. And so, and I think that's significant because it's what it's asking of the business owner is to have an understanding of security within your own environment to be able to respond to these questions. So
and I think that's so important, because even as you're sharing this, you know, I feel like my stomach is dropping. Saying, oh wow, how, you know, we're a small business, and you know, for viewers, always remember, technically, small business is business under 10 million, not just businesses under 6 or under 3 or solopreneurs. And how do we answer things that we don't know? You know, my first response would be, we go to our professional inner circle. And I think every business, you should surround yourself with your professional inner circle, your attorney, your accountant or CFO. And, you know, and in that way, you know, do you have somebody that you could pick up the phone and say, you're my cyber person. I have this form. You know, because my attorney, who might normally guide me on answering a document I'm not clear on, doesn't have a clue either.
Yeah, absolutely. You do need to have to your point, that circle of people that you can always go to. So kind of your informal board. And I would say that once you're at that point where, say for sure, you're at 2 million to 20 million, you know, and you're on that trajectory, to have someone in your network that is your security person, I think is something that's critical, because as you expand, now it's about, as a business owner, particularly if you have a board that you're starting to report to, you know, even if it's just twice a year, it's thinking about how do you incorporate cybersecurity into your business strategy? How do you think about that in terms of your 3 to 5 year strategy? Because as your business is starting to grow, you really have to also think about how you're protecting what it is that you're doing, your intellectual property. How are you best supporting your clients? Whatever new service or product that you have, how is that protected in terms of data or any systems that you may be developing? And so, you know, it's really critical that organizations think about it. Also, the regulatory environment is changing so much. So understanding how the regulations are changing, not only from state to state here in the United States, but also if you happen to be working internationally, understanding that landscape. And cybersecurity and data privacy regulations, though they overlap, in many cases they can be very different from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So it really is important nowadays that people have someone who is a cybersecurity leader as part of their kind of go-to team of experts.
Andrea's weighing in. She's saying your work and risk management is really cutting edge.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
And so when Andrea's referring to cutting edge, I truly going to sound like I'm dated, right? And I'll own this, listeners and viewers who are catching this. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And I know what I don't know to surround myself with a list of people who know. And I think in building every team, one of the smartest things we can do is to build a team that is so much smarter than us.
Yeah.
So when people ask, what drove your interest in cybersecurity, I'd be like, why are you still doing this? Why are you interviewing people again? It's not normally what you do. And my response has been, because there's so much here that is a foundation for our future, and we don't know enough now.
Absolutely. I mean, we just talk about how much technology is changing over the next 5 years, 10 years. I think right now, if companies aren't thinking about, and if they want to continue to exist over the next 10 years, if they're not thinking about what challenges they're going to be facing in 2030, it's quite possible that even getting to 2025 is going to be very challenging for them. From a security perspective, I mean, obviously, thinking about the speed and growth of digital transformation, and thinking about even from the cloud perspective or AI and machine learning, all the security that needs to also be developed in order to best protect that new technology. But things like encryption, which is changing. In a couple of years, there'll be introductions of new forms of encryption, because current standards will, in the end, for simplicity purposes, will become obsolete. And so there's just so much that's happening. And all of this will be impacting businesses of all sizes. Again, 5 years ago, a business owner who was running a $10 million business, a $15 million business, wouldn't necessarily be thinking about this as top of mind, though they definitely, should have been. It wouldn't have been top of mind, but in today's environment, as we go into 2022, it absolutely has to be a priority.
No, I think you're making an enormous amount of sense. I could tell you a few years ago from my own perspective, like when this topic was brought up to me, my comment would be like, I'm not Target. Don't worry about it. and that was my perspective. Who wants to bother me? I'm a small fish in a big pond of, multi-conglomerate organizations.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to bother me. And that's just not true any longer.
And there's just so much, opportunity. There are people out there that are just opportunists. So though they may not be trying to attack you, there could be someone in your network that they could be trying to attack, and you can just be a byproduct of that. And that's why this whole focus on vendor risk and supply chain has been so serious, that and has been impacting obviously very large businesses, but also small businesses just the same.
So Tara's weighing in with, what is a few quick and easy, love this, quick and easy is 100%, she's asking my question, obviously. Quick and easy things to implement right away, like a 2-factor authentication. What can we, as the smaller businesses, the under 10 employees, the solopreneurs who are very active on LinkedIn, what can we actually do that is effective, quick and easy?
Yeah, I would say quick and easy. If you have a way of, if you're storing documents that are sensitive, just encrypt them. And you can do that by password protecting files. It doesn't have to be this huge, big thing. You can just ensure that that data is secure. You can use tools like WinZip, WINZIP, where you could store that data. You can use that as a tool to help encrypt. The other thing that I would say is, and I say this all the time, I feel like sometimes it's like, I feel like I could be a robot just saying this, but I think it's so important, is just having some sort of a password manager, having something that really does help you ensure that you're managing your passwords. I mean, there's so many different things, tools that we're using on a day-to-day basis. People can have literally 200 to 500, 600 different passwords. I think I've heard the most was like 735. I mean, it's amazing, right? All the different tools that people use, and a lot of it depends on your industry. And, a lot of people that are particularly innovative and curious, they just they try a lot of different things. So, having something like that is really important, because you don't have to think about your password. It manages it for you, and it creates a long password, which is really important. And then you mentioned two-factor authentication. I just want to say yes to that. Because that's super important. And that's something that no matter what tool you're using, no matter what application, you can just implement that across the board. All of your social media profiles, obviously all your banking should already have that as an option, as required. But anything else that you're doing, just you can be an easy thing that you can literally turn on in your settings.
The whole password thing. I remember when back in the day, okay, I'll do this again, back in the day, when we used to keep a book in our desk drawer, upper desk drawer, to make it really easy that we wrote all of our passwords in so we could find it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, and viewers, I know I'm dating myself. And I'm okay with this.
Yes.
But we used
everyone's been
handy, like put it out there. Like, why don't we could paste it to our windows? It was that easy, that just let everybody in. And I think the password managers are brilliant, to the point that I sometimes can't get into my own system. They're so good.
Yeah.
And, even coming on StreamYard today, and StreamYard's a great platform that we use for our LinkedIn Lives. But coming on StreamYard today, I had to re-put in my information, and I used my password system, and it sent me an authenticator. So it really matters. Mick is coming in and saying his password manager has been a lifesaver. He's asking, we have time for one more question. Mick is asking, do you enter the payment data realm at all? Do you enter the payment data realm at all?
Yeah, we actually used to do a lot of work around this probably 5 or 6 years ago, which was a big time when there was a lot of changes happening in that area. And it's something we haven't done as much recently, but that's only because I think so much change has occurred that there's been a lot of resolution around that. But it is something that we do in supporting companies, particularly companies that have high transactions, retail, restaurants, that e-commerce organizations that are in that area for sure. Yes, and I think probably one of the best things in working with e-payments is really working with a trusted partner that is validated and is secure. So,
I like the words validated and secure with that word trusted. And Mick is brilliant in that space. So Mick, the way to reach out to Jessica is, how do our viewers and listeners learn more, ask the follow-up questions, connect with you? Because you are an innovative leader, which I respect enormously. Your uniqueness will always touch my heart from today forward. And your drive to starting this business because you knew you were going to do this from a child, somehow make a difference around security. And I think that is so powerful, to have that desire and to see it fulfilled. So how could our viewers know more and reach out?
Yes, well, thank you so much, Ivy. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just connect with me, and we can just DM from that moment on. You can also visit the website, which is www.the-purepoint.com.
And Andrea just said, I hope this interview is available for review. Lots of great information. Yep. Go to my page, Jessica's page. You'll be able to find this interview, this video, and it's there for your review, for your resources. And Jessica, I just want to highlight one other thing. You recently did something about a quote a day. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the month of October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So one of the things that we do for that month, and this was our 3rd year doing it, is we highlight different leaders. They're mainly women, and we have one male or male identifying leader that also goes. And it's really an opportunity for us to connect with people within our network and for them to share what really the essence of what the value that they provide. And so the way that we do that is by asking them, what is the pure point of safety and security for them? And it's also just this connection to understanding that at any moment, each and every one of us has the ability to create a safe space for others and for ourselves. And we do that by the value that we bring into the world, and that we all have something that we're deeply connected to in terms of why we do the work that we do. And so, and I always love seeing what leaders are sharing and what's most important for them. Thank you so much, Ivy, for participating. It was amazing to have you. And we also share different stats around cybersecurity because, again, there's so much changing, and so just want for people to continue to be updated as possible. And I'm happy to say that we will continue it. So we've done it for 3 years, and so we'll do it not only next October, but we've decided that we'll do 2 posts a month. So we'll do it bi-weekly going forward to really just continue this energy and this momentum. So it's a big change for us, and we're thrilled about that. So
I was really excited to be part of it, but I will tell you, I was more excited to actually read it every day. To see other people's perspective on the pure point of safety, security. I really found myself daily leaning in to see what other people are saying and expand my knowledge around it. I'm a firm believer. The more we learn, the more we grow, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. So I'm honored. So thank you so much.
And I see Andrea already sent you a LinkedIn request.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Looking forward to connecting.
And remember, viewers, if this interview was important, impactful, and valued to you, please share it forward to your community and let it continue to grow. Let us continue to educate and learn. And as a community here on LinkedIn with amazing people. Jessica, thank you for joining me here today, and I will see you over a cup of coffee.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it, Ivy.
Viewers, stay tuned. We have some other things coming up this month that are first getting confirmed. So I can't say just yet, but save the date, stay tuned on LinkedIn and see what we're coming out with. There's some important things around Thanksgiving that always are important to me, and that's importance of gratitude and sharing gratitude forward. So stay tuned to see what we're going to be doing with that. And thank you for joining us today. Continue to leave comments, questions. Jessica and I will be continuing to weigh in. See you next time here on Slater Success Live.